Welcome to the Through These Gates podcast, the most rational Nebraska football show on the internet. I am your host, as always, Caleb Salvatore. We are again audio only for this episode, not like yesterday where we were running out of time. We've got some video issues. The video issues being that I stepped on the cord and snapped it. Snapped the connector that goes into the camera, and they don't have the type I need anywhere here in town, so it's not going to be here for 2 days. I'm waiting on the Amazon delivery. Sucks, but it's a very minor setback. If you do know anyone in the Omaha area that has mini A camera cords that go more than 10 feet, let me know, because I will go buy them in bulk from them today. Because I need a very specific type of camera for the way our home studio is set up, and it's just, it's all nonsense. Again, I know we pushed the video yesterday out super last second right before the game, so it probably kind of flew under the radar. Apologies for the delay on the video. If you've already heard this, skip it, but I'm going to go ahead and cover it again. We did not get the Indiana one out, so we went to the game Saturday, got home late Sunday, and nothing was happening that day. Monday, I woke up, was ill. Wasn't like COVID or the flu or anything like that, just didn't feel good. If I'm not going to put out good content, I'd just rather not put it out. I could have done it sick, but it would have sucked, and I would just rather not do it than do it sick. So Tuesday I couldn't do it because that's when we shoot That's Based. So I had time set aside Wednesday. That's when we were going to shoot the reaction video. Little late, but better late than never, right? We wound up spending most of the time Wednesday and Thursday at doctors' offices and ERs. I'm not going to get into the gory details. We're good. It was a scare. It wasn't involving me. It was my fiance. Everything's good. It could have been a lot worse. It was a kidney stone, which at her age, I mean, yeah, that sucks. But it like I said, could be a lot worse. And as much as it sucks, and it's something I hope I never have to deal with. We're very blessed that that's all it was. So working on getting that taken care of. Hopefully the worst days of that are behind us. They got medicine and everything, so it shouldn't be an issue going forward. And we can get back to your regularly scheduled programming. We'll be doing the Friday preview for the Purdue game, normal time, and then the Sunday reaction as well. No setbacks there. And I'm just looking forward to getting back into the swing of things. It's been the week from hell. I've got too much going on and not enough time to do it. It's been a little weird. But we're rolling. We're back. And so is Nebraska, because they've won 2 Big Ten games in a row for the first time since, I don't know. Did they? I don't think they won 2 Big Ten games in a row under Frost. Tell me in the comments if I'm wrong. Tell me in the I need you Husker historians to do this. Look it up. Tell me in the comments when the last time Nebraska won 2 Big Ten games in a row was. I think it might have happened early on with Frost. Otherwise, we might have to go back to Riley. The greatest coach we've ever had. No, I'm kidding. I was really impressed, and I understand a 1-point victory at Rutgers is certainly nothing to write home about. But when you look at how this team responded to that type of adversity, being down in the fourth quarter, and still managed to come out and squeak out a win, I don't care who you're playing. The fact that they came out, squeaked out a conference win in a 1-score game, come from behind fourth quarter victory is impressive to me. Look, write the Oklahoma game off. It was a short turnaround. It was a big emotional week. It was the setup for a blowout. Let's grade Mickey going forward here. Mickey Joseph and, Bill Bush. That's like coordinator of the year type turnaround we've seen in these last 2 games. So they've had a full 3 weeks to get because they had the bye week to get their team under the way they want it. And we're starting to see improvement. The fact that you're not seeing fourth quarter meltdowns, the fact that you've had 2 games that were kind of underwater going into the second half, not underwater in terms of we're going to lose, but it's up in the air, right? The fact that you had 2 games that were completely up in the air and they've come out in a row and they've come out and won both of them is a very, very good sign. It doesn't mean Mickey's for sure the guy. It doesn't mean we're going to win the Big Ten West, but it's a very good sign, and it shows that's coaching. Absolutely. The fact that you have seen in 4 weeks a night and day difference in terms of how this team responds to a fourth quarter deficit is absolutely coaching. Now, there were still lots of problems. Lots of concerns. I find it hard to criticize Casey Thompson too much when he's running for his life every play. I would like to see what he could do with a good offensive line. I still think Raiola needs to go. I thought they looked better in the Indiana game, and this might be the worst I've seen them look all season. But the fact that they won in spite of bad offensive line play, the defense, the rest of the team stepped up. They won in spite of a special teams error that where the defense again stepped up, held them to a field goal. Chenander, that's a two-play score. The fact that the defense was able to step up and hold them there was huge in terms of confidence. It was more than just about that drive or that game. The fact that the defense was able to hold up and stop them inside their own red zone after a blocked punt was huge. So they were able to overcome 2 interceptions, horrible offensive line play, for an opening drive touchdown. When Rutgers went straight down the field and scored, I was like, well, this was fun while it lasted. That was a fun week of being good again. But no, the defense, they made Bill Busch, unlike Chenander, made the necessary adjustments to go out there and hold them to 6 points for the rest of the game. That's what a good defensive coordinator does. Bill Busch did a great job. I don't care who he's playing. He saw a problem on the first drive, made adjustments going forward, and it didn't happen again. It wasn't like Chenander. I'm all for it. Big shout out to Bill Busch. Getting ball to Bill Busch today. Absolutely. Casey Thompson had some mistakes, but he didn't fall apart. He was able to come in and throw a beautiful pass for a game-winning touchdown to Trey Palmer, who is absolutely going to play on Sundays. He may stay for another year, but he is absolutely going to play on Sundays. That's an NFL caliber talent in Trey Palmer. So it was. I'm impressed. Again, it's Rutgers, so I don't want to cream my pants too much here, but we're getting better. These are 2 games that we would have lost with Scott Frost as head coach. There's no way around that. Mark Whipple's play calling, that's another story. I don't think Whipple's gonna. Whipple was one that I was like, he's a big enough name, whatever. He was one that I was 50-50 on whether or not he'd be here under the new coach. I don't think there's any way you keep him now. I think the play calling was horrendous. You've got one of the best backs in the Big Ten. 4th down and 1. You line up with an empty backfield and throw the ball. That's dumb. That's smart, stupid people is what we call it on my show. That's based over at outlawstreamers.com. That's just dumb. That's someone who thinks he's smarter than he is, trying to get cute. His play, and he had another, it was like 3rd and 1, or 2nd or 3rd and 1. He ran an end around where it looked like it was supposed to be a pass with Alante Brown. What are you doing? Run the damn ball. Sometimes the answer is that simple. So there was a lot of negative to take away from this as well. You had the blocked punt, you had the offensive line play, you had Mark Whipple's play calling. Marcus Washington, I think, had more drops than catches. But they did finally figure out how to use a tight end. They came from behind for the first time in I don't know how long to win a game on the road in the 4th quarter. Back-to-back Big Ten wins. Casey Thompson didn't put his head down in shame. He buckled up and pushed forward for the 2nd week in a row after making a bad mistake and having a bad first half. Looked like a completely different quarterback in the second half. Running for his life every play, he pushed through. The defense shut them down. It was a good week. There's a lot to be happy about. This is the kind of games coaches love because you won, but there's a lot to improve upon. And there's a lot of things, glaring issues you can point out in practice and say, this is what we need to work on this week. So it's hard to get too upset or too excited about this kind of game. But you won, and that's the important thing. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. Purdue's playing right now as we're recording this, so we'll go out and scout them. They're playing Maryland. Aiden O'Connell, the second coming, as people like to call him in the preseason previews. Whatever. Grades. Let's do grades real quick. Quarterback. Man, this is a tough one. We'll say C+. You're grading on a curve there because, again, I would like to see Casey perform with even an average offensive line, because this is one of the worst offensive lines in the country, if not the worst. Just even with an average offensive line, I would like to see Casey play. the key things there, he didn't cost us the game. And when he made mistakes, that wasn't the end. Because you remember with Adrian, and I don't think we can blame Adrian for this, as we're seeing in Kansas State. This is a coaching thing because Casey did the same thing here. When one mistake happened, especially a critical one, that was it. You knew they were going to start pressing. They were going to force bad plays. And that was it. It was over. It was only going to get worse from there. You didn't see that this week or last week when Casey made critical mistakes. He pushed forward. Different guy. It's almost, I don't know. Like I said that in the Northwestern game. When you've had every quarterback that started under you melt down at the end of the game, it's because you're pushing them too hard. They're pressing too hard. It's coaching. You got a new coach? That same quarterback who was melting down in the fourth quarter against Northwestern didn't do it here. C+. Not a bad game from him. Not a great one, though. It was like 6.4 yards per attempt he averaged. Left a lot to be desired, but there's building blocks with Thompson. You can see that he's a good quarterback. And they just need to be able to protect him. It's hard to fire anybody after a win, but I mean, Mickey's taking heads after poor performances. He fired Chenander. Can we get Raiola out of here? The offensive line's a mess. We'll get to that in a minute. Running backs, I don't know. It's hard to give any position group on the offense too high of a grade when they scored 14 points. You know what I mean? Running backs, it was the same thing with Grant. I mean, he averaged, 2.5 yards per carry. Yant actually looked okay in the limited role we saw him in. So it's hard. I'm going to give running backs like a C-. They didn't look great. But again, you're grading on a curve here because you have to. I mean, if he had a good offensive line that we saw could go out there and just punish the other team and he averaged 2.5 yards a carry, yeah, it'd be an F. But he doesn't. You know, I pointed this out in the North Dakota game. Yeah, he's making great plays. He's making guys miss, but he's doing it in spite of a terrible offensive line. And he was averaging like 6 yards per carry back then. But once you got into Big Ten play against talented front sevens, that was going to go down. If they can't block for him, he's only going to be able to make so many guys miss. And he still did. He was making guys miss at the line of scrimmage. The problem is you can't have a running back who gets hit at the line of scrimmage every time he touches the ball. That's the issue. Wide receivers, C-. Again, Washington looked bad. Lots of drop passes there, man. I don't know. I'm worried. I pointed this out in the offensive preview to begin the season. There's really nobody on the receiver that jumps out. You have a lot of guys that are question marks, and that's kind of been proven. Palmer looks good. Like I said, he's the lone exception there. Palmer does appear to be as advertised. Again, would love to see what he could do with a quarterback that could actually have time to get him the ball. I think you're talking probably first or second round pick, if that's the case. He's by far the best guy. Everyone knows to key on him, and he still makes big catches at big moments in games. So he's obviously doing something right. Mickey's doing something right with the receivers. Trey's a phenomenal receiver. There's no way around. He's a 5-star recruit. That's what 5-star talent looks like. You see what teams like Ohio State and Alabama and who else? I mean, Georgia. Teams that get Clemson. Teams that get 5-star recruits. Michigan. Consistently like that. That's the type of talent. There's whole teams of people like him. Whole teams of guys like him. So he's as advertised. I'm really happy that Trey Palmer's worked out the way he has. Tight end. The problem is we don't have a number 2. Sometimes it looks like Washington could be the guy, and then he drops like 4 passes in a row. Sometimes it looks like Oliver Martin could be the guy, then he disappears. It looked like Isaiah Garcia-Castaneda was going to be the guy. Say that 5 times fast. And then he's gone. I don't know what happened to him. There was preseason chatter that it'd be Alante Brown would finally bust out, and nothing. With 1 catch for like 2 yards. So I don't know. Brody Belt looks like he could be a good slot guy, and then he disappears. So I don't know what's going on with the receivers. The tight ends, though, they finally figured out how to use them. And in the first time in 5 years with this coaching staff, they figured out how to use the tight ends. Austin Allen, if they knew how to use a tight end, would have been a second or third round pick last year. Travis Vokolek caught his first touchdown as a Husker. That's ridiculous. You have a monstrosity of a man. Just caught his first touchdown pass in his senior year. Come on. Come on. Against his former team. Good for him, though. Tight ends, I'm going to give him a B+. Because Chancellor Brewington looks solid, too. The reason I don't give an A is because, part of that run blocking's on the tight ends, and, when you fall apart like that in the run game, that's going to fall on you. Offensive line, do I need to say it? F. This might be the worst we've seen them perform this year. And they still won. So they're lucky. Because if they lost, it would have been on them. F. Thompson's running for his life. He's not a big guy. He's got an injury history. And he's getting killed every play. It's absurd. Onto the defense. Be some solid grades here. Defensive line. Probably a B+. They got a good push up front. A- even. Yeah, A- for defensive line. They got a good push up front. They had a really good push going up front. I thought Robinson probably played the best game I've seen from him. And then we'll include the edge rushers. I'll give the edge rushers an A. They were in their face all game, man. Other than that first drive, looked good. Linebackers, B+. Solid. Solid game from the linebackers. Running backs didn't do anything crazy on them. They maintained the line of scrimmage. The front seven played the best game I've seen from them all year, including the North Dakota game. Defensive backs. We'll give them an A. A- for defensive backs. They were young. Hartzog came off the bench. They picked on him, and he came back and made a great pick. I've never seen more offensive pass interference in a game on both sides. We'll give the refs an F. They call a poor game both ways. The fact that they even had to go back and look at that as pass interference at the end of that game, the pass interference when Mathis clearly tipped the ball was horseshit. Excuse my language. Terrible call. Terrible call. I don't know what they were looking at. All you got to do is look at the ball. Nobody throws the ball like they're skipping rocks, except maybe Sam Keller. Terrible call. But no, the secondary looked good too, for the most part. Special teams. This is a tough one because you gave up the block punt, but other than that, you didn't really do too much bad. And some solid returns. Didn't miss a PAT. They didn't attempt a field goal. All of Buschini's other kicks looked really good. They were stuck in the red zone purgatory for a little bit, and he helped them get out of it with his punting. I can't give special teams a A. I can't even give them a B because of the block, so we'll just stick with the C. Just because, unfortunately, that's the one position that one bad play can totally screw you when you're grading. Because that's how it goes, man. Coaching. This is tough to do just a blanket statement for coaching. I'm going to give him an a B+. B+ for coaching, only because I thought Mark Whipple called plays with his tail between his legs again. That's got it. And the moments where he did get bold are moments where it just didn't make sense. So it's tough. Mickey Joseph, Bill Bush did a great job. If we were just grading those two, they'd each get A+. But Mark Whipple kind of screws you here. And so, I don't know. It's tough to grade coaches as a whole when you had such a lopsided performance in favor of one side of the ball. But I think that they came up with the plays what they needed when it mattered. Excuse me, trying to drink my coffee here. I'd like to see Whipple get a little bit more ballsy. He looked like he was finally coming out of his shell against Indiana, but didn't happen. But overall, they won. I can't be too mad about it. Can't be too mad. There's definitely some stuff to improve on. There's definitely a lot to be excited about. So enjoy the win. Don't be all negative. Oh, well, we got to play blah, 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 blah next, so we're not going to win another game. Shut the fuck up. Shut the fuck up. Don't worry about that game. Don't worry about the next game until Friday. How about that? Just enjoy it, Husker Nation. We haven't. That's the problem, is when you've been in a toxic relationship for so long, you don't know how to enjoy anything good because you're just waiting for the next bad thing to happen. And that's exactly where we're at as fans right now. It's okay. Just enjoy it. We won. We won. That's all that matters. That's all that matters. We got the win. We did something we haven't done in I don't know how long, which is not melt down when we were losing in the fourth quarter by 1 score. We won. That's the only thing. Like that's all you should take away from this right now. Let the talking heads debate it all week. All you have to worry about is the fact that we just won 2 Big Ten games in a row for the first time in I don't know how long. Tell me in the comments. Tell me in the comments when the last time we did it was, because I'm not a historian. I know some of you guys are. So yeah, it was a good game. Just relax. Quit being so damn negative. Tell me in the comments if you agree or disagree with my grading. Here's a better comment, audience interaction question. Why do you think Mark Whipple is calling plays so scared? What is up with him? Tell me what you think is going on with Mark Whipple in the comments. That's what I want to know. I want to know why he seems to call plays like he's playing to not lose all game, and then you get to 4th and 1, and he tries to do this ridiculous crap like end-around passes or empty backfield with your quarterback. Someone tell me, can someone out there rationalize his play calling? That's our comment homework for the week. Let me know in the comments what you think about Mark Whipple's play calling. Why is he doing the things he's doing right now? And why is it such a night and day difference from Pittsburgh? This guy took Kenny Pickett, who was, by all accounts, an average quarterback, and turned him into a first-round pick. What's the difference with coming to Nebraska? Everything else seems to be improving, but under Mickey Joseph, but he stayed the same. If not gotten worse almost every week. So can someone tell me what's going on? I do appreciate Mickey not calling him out in the press conference saying, I'm not going to question someone's calls. That's a definite step up in terms of maturity from a head coach than what we're used to seeing. The guy who deflects blame onto everybody else but himself. Like people clapping. Don't even get me started. He's gone. Don't even get me started. Sorry. So long of an abusive relationship with that team. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. This has been the Through These Gates podcast. I am your host, Caleb Salvatore. Follow my socials at Caleb Isn't Funny on Twitter and Instagram, at Caleb Salvatore Comedy on the TikTok. Follow my main show that's based on outlawstreamers.com. It's also on YouTube. I have a personal YouTube too, Caleb Salvatore. You can follow that. I'll post little clips there. It's not on YouTube. The show is not. Clips are. It is on Rumble. It's on Spotify, Google Podcasts, Spreaker, and I believe iHeartRadio as well. So you can listen to the audio version there. I got my comedy podcast, Bread and Circuses. We have got October 29th, Saturday, Night of the Laughing Dead at Beach House Bar and Grill in Omaha. You know, if you're a Husker fan in Wichita, I'll be down there tomorrow night doing a show. Actually, I got a road gig. It's at I don't even remember the name of the place. I should probably do that. It's in my Google Maps. I got a show down in Wichita, Kansas tomorrow night. I know it's a Sunday. It'll be lots of fun though. You guys should come out and see me. It's at Barleycorns in Wichita. So come out and check. Me and my friend David Terrell Green will be out there doing some gigs. I don't hit the road as much as I used to for comedy. I do a lot more stuff in my house. That keeps me out of trouble with my fiance because I'm not gone all the time. So happy wife, happy life, right? I'm not big into the road life, man. It's just not my thing, man. I don't like hotels. I like being in my own bed, my own house. And I've always wanted, I love comedy, but my goal has always been to have a talk show. That's always been my goal, to do that for a career. Because it does feel like the best of both worlds. Now, I'll never stop doing comedy. I love doing shows. I love occasionally traveling. I got a show in Denver in a couple months, and we'll do stuff like that. But mainly that's what we focus on really hard, is the talk show, radio, podcast type stuff. So be sure to check my show out. That's based. That's the big one right now. And then like and subscribe to this channel. Share it around. Turn the notifications on. You know the drill. Go Big Red. And God help us all. Thank you so much.